Welcome. Glad you could be here. Chelsea, Ginger, you guys. Gather around. We got a lovely convo tonight. Looking forward to bringing you the crew live. Just got to set the mood. Everybody get parked. Get your popcorn. That's right. Let's get the crew in.
I think occasionally I've turned it off the camera, but I'd be sometimes cooking while I'm doing it. But I think I'm not the only one. I've seen other folks cooking while we
I think we're winding down the music, by the way.
You guys are live.
Awesome.
You're live. Welcome.
Oh, we are? Oh,
yeah,
hi.
I like to sneak in. I like to sneak in on you guys. Welcome to Airship King. Let's get a roll call here. Who's Yesenia? You ready for that?
Alrighty, Captain. How's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Alrighty, this is our Saturday night ride, and we're lifting off. Right now, we got Renee in the house.
Hello. I am just already feeling the flow on this lift off. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We're getting that kind of like, whoa, that in between where your stomach kind of flies. You're like, woo, and you take lift off. Good. Nice flight already. What's going on?
Margarine
Hey, Sonia.
flies.
Hey, Renee. And then we also got Philip here. Philip came through. How you doing, Philip?
Doing pretty good. How's everybody doing?
Oh, good to see you, man.
Phil?
Great,
Good
man.
stuff.
Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
okay, sorry. How's
Welcome
everybody
aboard.
doing?
We're doing good. And we got Mary to join us tonight.
Oh,
Hi
nice.
there. I brought 3 books just to have them right here with me. I've got Blueprints of Mind Control. I've got Deeper Insight into the Illuminati, and I brought the Book of Black Magic, End of Pax by Arthur Edward Waite.
Wow.
Yeah.
New stuff for me. Good. I can't wait.
Alrighty, and we also got Lori in the house.
Hey.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
I'm not Fat Albert, but I'm here.
You might sing a song for us, though, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, in the Sulu chair tonight is Yesenia, and really glad to have you too, Yesenia. Thank you for joining us tonight on Saturday Night Ride. Our destination is looks like a little mind control, literary mind control, anything around that topic. We had a few things come up in reference to the Tao Te Ching and Book of the Way and sort of the hidden mind control in Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, and then we got to just talking about mind control in general. A few people brought up my book, which I love talking about my book, but I have to learn to bring that in as much as I can, because really the entire topic is just full especially when it comes to literature, because ultimately poetry is the ultimate mind control. Ultimately, poetry is the thing that creates a new seed inside of someone's head that there's really no other way of putting that in. And this is a bird song, it's a call, it's a piece of work, it's a lawsuit, it's a story on the news, it's a jingle on an advertising commercial. All these are the same mechanism of how do you insert a worm into someone's head, and how does it take root, and what is actually required for that to be, whether it be positive or negative. I think that the best way to look at mind control is to understand that you practice it every moment, and it's a vital part of who you are. So I'm already sort of in the fringe of this field because I think it's much more ubiquitous and normal in our everyday lives. So why not just learn to practice it morally and with more
I'm
consciousness?
glad you brought that up at the front, Cap, because I'd like to say right up front that I don't think it's a negative thing. It just is what it is. So I'd just like to take the idea that mind control is a strictly negative connotation off the table right at the top, because I just don't think that's the case. That's just it's just how I think this place works.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly doing great for dispelling the reputation that I am secretly working for the the CIA or Tavistock or whoever else it is when I say things like this. So
I think that's a feather in your cap, James.
there you go. Yeah, I'll take it. I got a big cap.
Might as well put a pin on or something.
Yeah.
I would love a pin that represents this group. I think that would be cool.
I actually have I have
You
some
know,
frequency prankster pins around.
I would love that. I would love that.
We should break those out again for the season, especially now because it is 2 steps forward time. The wait 15 minutes is over, which is a pattern I've been explaining personally that I see a lot, which is that the best way to penetrate a reptile is to do something and then wait 15 minutes and then do something and wait 15 minutes. And that is certainly happening, which is part of why the terror of what everyone feels is so validating. But at the same time, the predator is showing you how to practice magic. It's showing you how easy it is to perform your own stunts, your own mind control, and lift yourself out of the poverty of the objectivity of how they've defined words such as ego or self-love. Or I heard this the other day. Someone had said, "Wow, James, you just really love the sound of your own voice."
Good thing.
It really hit me like a ton of bricks. First of all, I used to hate the sound of my voice. For most of my young adolescent life, I hated it. I could not stand the sound of my voice.
Right.
I was always being betrayed, and sometimes through different genders or whatever growing up, it used to really drive me nuts. And then anytime I would hear it, I just despised it. I hated it. And so this is a demon that's very natural in the terrain, the demon of you're supposed to hate your voice. That in other words, I know it's kind of hidden, but if someone is insulting you through the phrase, "You must really love the sound of your own voice," that is a deep clue that there is a ubiquitous mind control that is everywhere, right? So these are big things, I think.
And I bless you that you love your own voice too.
Yeah, there's times when I squirm as much as I can. In fact, this week has been particularly, I don't want to go into this. I'd rather save it for Dojo Monday. But as an example, there's a very difficult dojo for me on Friday, very difficult. And so even the sound of my own voice is still haunting me, but something that I talk about a lot when you learn to use shame as a friend, I'm able to notice the times that I do not like my own voice and use this to process as a kind of holographic medicine. So you get to think about how you felt,
That's
what
so
you were
good.
thinking, and things like that, you know? So even how you feel about your own voice is giving you a temperament that the person who was criticizing me for suggesting that I must like the sound of my own voice has probably never been allowed to have. Like, it's not even in his scope that he should or could love the sound of his own voice. And
That's not allowed.
Yeah, it's such a profound, a hyena kind of a thing that's just there. And it took me 50 years to even notice it. Like, it took until last Thursday for me to actually hear that and go, wow, look at that.
You know, I had this experience growing up, and I have a sister that's older than me. And I always had to fight to be my individual self with her. Mm-hmm. And then when we got together, I don't know, the last time I saw her, I would listen to her and it would be like my voice. Like, she had the same voice as me. Mm. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't stand to listen to my own voice. And it was like this family voice. It was like weird, like a family, like haunting of that, you know, it wasn't okay to be, you know, it was just like be seen but not heard, you know, that term that. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And then it's like then your mother's voice comes out of you to your children, and it's like, oh my God, who is that?
Yeah.
It's a strong epigenetic line is what it is.
Yeah. Right?
It's literally coming out. Yeah, some of my siblings, you know, we don't really look alike, but we sound alike.
Yes.
And it's like, that's so interesting, or where we pause, or where, you know, we play an inflection or something, and it's like, oh, that sounds just like me, or I just sounded just like Brenda. That's weird.
Yeah, those are possessions, you know? Too. And that's part of the mind control that really is so deep. You know, we learn to adopt. If you think about why Christopher Walken is so profound, is because he gives a opportunity for a posture that people never would have thought of before when it comes to their possessive spirit of speaking. And if you think about all actors that are really talented typically are peculiar. They know how to exercise that kind of uniqueness, and that's a mind control because you're creating, you understand the addiction inside the other person's mind for uniqueness. And all of us know that, which is why we're constantly trying to mind control each other for witness by being unique. This is a very basic form of fertility, but just on a social level, right? It's all the same thing. It's how do I interact and share so I can exchange resources with you. So we compete in the open market for what we call popularity. And we think that stops in high school, but it doesn't stop. It's quite the opposite. High school is the only time where you really get to name it, touch it, tangibly consider it. Once you leave that threshold, that nest, you think it disappears because it becomes so much more professional. The mind control is professional at that point. It's not just for giggles. It's not just for Sadie Hawkins dates. It's not for who's going to get the most Valentines. It's for, can I afford this apartment? Can I score with this other person to have a child, right? Can I get a comma in my paycheck? Can I afford to live in this fancy apartment complex? So all of this is mind control. And if you start to just look at how it flows, you really end up with some insight into most relationships that you maybe never really understood how the energy actually worked, especially when it comes to like employment, you know, how you are perceived at work versus how you perceive others. It's very much a reflection of that mind control.
Certainly, because I would say in the working space, I think probably we've all experienced this, that it's not always at all about the capability of the person or the skills as to who gets the job and who gets the promotion. It has a lot more to do with, like I say, who's exercising the better mind control.
Yes,
in terms of what they're worth. I found that when I first, as a young man, came into and went into the trades, I thought that my skills would show up, and because I was the youngest guy there and I could outwork and had better skills than some of the older guys there, right? It didn't matter. My position was still lowest on the pole, and that wasn't going to change.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot in crews that these are like blue collar jobs that you think don't require intense energy management. Like if you're driving a bulldozer, right? Like that's serious. That's serious magic. Like that's the person that's in that seat, right, is a very coveted role because they're honored for their confidence, for their ability to magicate, right? Like in that situation. And that is so much more about that. The mind control, what is their placebo? What is their bubble like, you know? And how much can their bubble be penetrated during happy hour or during rush hour or during the holiday season or during a lightning storm, you know? How do you function under pressure is directly related to your personal mind control, which is why I really hope that people see it more as a necessity, not as a secret illness that's in the world that has to be eliminated.
Yeah, it's interesting when I think about the emotional intelligence. Like you can have this emotional intelligence and it has this radar, sonar. And I was really successful at my job, but I did it really covertly. It was like a mind control thing. I would do everything at the coffee station. I would have everybody like, I would talk to one person and then I would like start a little whatever, you know, it was manipulative, but it really was with my integrity with what I knew was going to be right for, you know, the product that I was working in the marketing department for. But I got it all done without doing it like traditionally. Mm-hmm. And I really think it was a form of like this emotional intelligence that can use, I don't know. It was a form of mind control for sure.
It's like a Lori campaign.
Yeah.
You're campaigning for yourself.
Yeah. And when you have this knowing, like when you always have been a really good observer and you really know, like, you have this knowing, well, you know, people smell it. Yeah. And then, you know, you rise to the top.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's literally what you want in a manager is someone who's going to manipulate and someone who knows how to affect mind control on the field.
Yep.
Well, it's like the best managers, just like reflected in the Tao Te Ching, talking about that best leaders are leaders who lead without the people knowing they're being overtly led.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really the only way to lead. There's going to be certain slave relationships that are still normalized, but ultimate leadership really does come down to that. It's more about pacing. I think Trump has taught me that more than anything else. The ability to find someone's pace requires you to see them first or to appear to see them enough, and then to match that pace and slightly accelerate it. This is the same rule of where we only want to gaslight each other 1 to 4%, and if we do it more, then we're now creating ill. We're hurting people, and the same thing happens with pacing. And so I'm probably not an effective leader in that way because I don't necessarily have the patience to completely go down to that gear and stay there long enough. And it's probably more has to do with my own confidence to return to where I was before, to be able to pull both of us out. I think sometimes I'm very effective at it, but I'm just saying overall, I don't think that I'm a good leader probably because of things like that. I think a lot of times I feel I know what to do, but I also measure the costs involved. And it just doesn't really seem worth it to me, especially because I feel like I'm simply just creating a codependency anyway. So unless there's like something on the line, or more importantly, unless the situation has been set up where it's a consensual kind of mind control relationship, then I feel a lot different about it.
I think you're a really good leader, James, because you seem to manage your own energy in such a way that, like, if someone wants to be a part of this group, like, there's a little bit of, you have to figure it out. Like, and I love that. I love that. Like, I wish that's how my interactions always were, because there's like no games. And I think that your way of leading is very Aquarian, you know?
Well, thank you. I do wish everyone was more like that. And I think that you're tapping into why I'm not so willing, to go there, is because I just generally do think this is the better way. This is the path, or this is how I feel is the path, I should say. But it's only because I know what makes me relax. And it's an authenticity that's there. And
right?
It's a lot less tell and a lot more show, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot less previewing me what you're about to say and a lot more of just showing me what you say and constantly going there first. Yeah, that's a very digestible room I can be in, where I can really be there because I feel safe.
And I was thinking about, like, I was reading Blueprints of Mind Control just for the topic, and it was like, is it true? And so is there something in our body that's just like radar that shows up and it just goes, this is not true. Yeah. No matter what the talk is, it's just not true.
Yeah.
It's like, or what you see, it's just not true. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad that it's not true. It's not like a judgment on not true. It's just not true. And then when it's not true, there's like, it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
And that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I think they rely on that. Like, other people need you to be mind controlled so that they don't have to lose their mind.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
It's really bizarre. I can't,
symbiosis.
That's
in like
great,
a work
Philip.
environment, I struggle because it's like they all want me to like see these, that you have to agree, you have to play the game. And for some reason, I struggle so much with it. It's bizarre, but if you don't do that, like they kind of look at you nervously, like this guy's clearly a leader because he's doing his own thing. But I want to nervously kind of like ask if he's, see what his position on it is, and then, adjust from there, because if they don't follow the rules, that's a survival mechanism. You have to follow the rules or you lose your mind.
Yeah.
And I didn't first come across that in a work environment, across it in a family environment. When I used to see my sister, for example, and I would see her and she would look like a different person to me. And this is a very strange example, so pardon me, but like I would have these like panic attacks as a kid. Like, why does she look like a different person to me?
Oh my God, Phil.
And I would swear that I was seeing her potentials.
Yeah.
And I was gaslit all the shit, pardon my language, but because they're saying there's no way. That's not how it works. Everyone that lived in my house needed me to stop doing that, even though I had no option.
Yep.
Right.
Otherwise, they had to lose their minds.
Wow.
So it's a really strange dynamic, I think, with especially groups of people that are very close.
Yeah. That face thing is, God, we could do a whole thing on that, because I see that all the time with people, where I notice that a mode has a very different visage. They hold their face so different that they become a different person to me.
Yes.
And I start
Maybe that's why they don't show their face sometimes.
I start to split a little bit, because I'm not sure which one is them. And then I feel that they read that. And then, I think this is what exposes me the most, Philip, is that I see those faces, and when I start to empathize differently, with whichever face is present, that's when they tend to notice me, and they get really fucking mad. I mean, like really, really mad.
You saw
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, and it does feel like it's because I see them, and it feels like, this is what I mean by sometimes I don't like to tell people how I feel, because I can't explain to you how I feel with any proofs. I have to just show you the contextual latency that I go into all the time, and it's a crazy space if you don't know how to pull out, and you can never cling to the idea that there has to be an objective rightity here. You have to just trust the impulses, which is why you cannot do this unless you love your voice, unless you love yourself, because you need that tension of acceptance in order to hear the unacceptance that you feel in the room. So you have to find that base. This is how every lie detector works, right? You find your base. And until you understand, most people think that they've lost their mind before they've even found their mind. Because finding the mind means loving the ego, loving the sound of your voice, actually having a lot of time where maybe there's not a lot of thoughts in your head, where you literally are just in yourself, in your skin, and it's a glove. It's your toes are deeply embedded in the hot tub of your blood. It's a presence, and when you're in that presence, all things become revealed. This is why I'm not really afraid of robots, because I'm like, how you guys need a limbic system. You're not going to be able to defeat me unless you can know my reality too.
Exactly.
You know? So this is really what mind control, I think, is all about, because it comes back to the appetite. If you can pace someone and bring them into the appetite that they feel safe and they want to naturally follow, that's really all mind control is. This is what a teacher does. This is what a parent does. This is what a duck does to its baby ducks. It's all the exact same kind of a thing, a telepathic leash broadcast through the limbic antenna. All of us are antlers, really. We're just antlers made out of skin. Everything in the world works this way, where it's communicating through a limbic wireless signal that says, here's how I am. This is why the face functional MRI is so profound, that two people are it's really difficult to tell the difference. Which one's actually feeling this feeling and which person is actually watching someone else's face feel this feeling. It's actually difficult to tell. And that's because we are on this antler network, so to speak. And you will survive more simply by, learning how to listen, basically.
So where does this feeling, when you're in that kind of, is it true or whatever? I used to get this deep feeling of imposter. I was top of the whole thing. I was the number one person, and I was like, I'm an imposter.
I think where it comes from, Lori, is the fact that when we're born, like we're talking about, we're all kind of vessels, and we're filled by the environment around us, right? That we symbiotically are learning the environment around us, and as we do, we're just assimilating into what we're born into. So as we're talking about things like losing our minds or feeling this, what I think that process is as we're filled by what we're born into and what we're filled by when we're taught, we don't know what we are yet, which is why our first level of interaction is just in that space where everyone's just reacting by what they've been filled by. So it's only after you start to, within yourself, the individual, starts peeling those back to see what they are. And again, that mirrors everything we're talking about of why it feels uncomfortable, why you feel like you're losing your mind, because what you're doing is digging into all those things that we're taught. I don't think they were taught us for malicious reasons at all, but I do think that's more of that level of things. And when we actually start to try and find our voice and who we are, and that's where the ego grows as well, that's uncomfortable because we're peeling that back. And as we do that and we start to find out basically we peel back the mind control that we were raised in, which again, I don't think was malicious, but to find that space where is our mind, and we start to be able to fill it. That place has to be found going through all these uncomfortable processes of feeling crazy, of feeling like you're saying, why does this thing now feel untrue to me? Because it probably didn't feel untrue to us when we were not ready to find ourselves and start to grow our own ego.
Yeah.
That comes from getting to that place, and then it's like, whoa, now we have something, a relief, if you will, of something to feel like, okay, well, this is what we all, the collective, we all have. But now to individuate, to find that ego, you have to go through that process, and it does become, it starts to become feeling like the other in the room, right? The mind control of the group starts to feel like other, even though it's not.
Yeah.
It's what we've grown through. It's what made us. It's actually what led us to the place where we start looking for something that you could say more, I guess, or really just looking for ourselves beneath that mind control. And when we strip it back, where we really start to come to the place of power is, we start to be the ones who we mind control ourselves. We're taking control of our own minds, right?
Yeah, that's why the immune system kicks on, after birth. You can't have that running the second you're born. It'll attack its own mother's milk. So you have an autopilot first. It's probably more healthy or more accurate to say that you never actually discover yourself. You grow yourself. You incubate it like a nucleus.
Yeah.
And the mind control will continue until sovereignty improves, is really Gaia's code for, hey, don't worry about it. You don't need to bloom. It's okay. If you want to remain as a blade of grass, you're not going to have to waste nearly as many calories. You're going to blow in the wind. It's going to be a great experience. You're going to experience sunset. You're going to experience sunrise. You're going to experience all kinds of things. You don't need a flower. You're eukaryotic or prokaryotic cell. And there's this world has just as many of both. So some of you will find it so uncomfortable to remain as a blade of grass that you will dandelion yourself and
feel like an imposter.
Yeah, exactly.
You will,
people and guess what? What's beautiful about the pumice is that it detects your deceit and it beats the fuck out of you until you do it. The hyena smells you the same way you smell it, doesn't it? The hyena knows that you are ripe, and it expresses its ripeness by distrusting you. That's the only way that it could communicate through Gaia's language that you would know universally that it's time to get the fuck out. It's time to grow. Right? So both of us are using smell to help each other grow. The fact that we cannot send the Freemason, I'm going to call myself a Freemason, the fact that when I was in the Black Forest and I couldn't send my son to school without him getting raped by a Christian nationalist pagan cult, right? that I would develop enough revenge, enough sovereignty to where I would start to club and mind control the forest to root out what I saw as the problem. This is a huge lion kind of move. It's only going to be affordable to a certain kind of flower. And until that person seizes the day, knowing it will be hated by all others, it will be an imposter, and it will be suffering a life of injustice, hopefully harder than anyone else has ever felt around them. And that this would be the only sign that Gaia would give you that maybe you've been called. Maybe this is a calling for you. Maybe the lack of people around the fire is exactly the proof you need that this is only for the sacred. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the mind control keeps going because your worth is going to lead you on a path that could be as far as the lion, the vulture, the elephant, or the giraffe. That these are just different adrenaline or amperages of how much you feel responsible or an imposter until you don't. So I don't have a lot of imposter syndrome lately.
Me either.
I do feel a lot of pressure from a collective invisible that is stronger than before, only because I'm more perceptive of it. And I've been pruning the people that are in my life and in our group that make that expensive. It's, to me, the biggest thorns stopping these flowers from growing. It's the biggest thing that's hindering us, is this invisible hesitation and fear of breaking norms, of bursting through that husk. It's a husk. And right now is a really good time to watch these things open. And that takes a lot more pressure, a lot more endurance, but a lot more imposter. So the world is going to have to become more unbearable until more people say, I can't do this anymore. I just, you guys are fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. That's literally, this is what growth, this is what a flower, this is how a flower does it. He's just looking around going, you guys are fucking sickos, man. You're blowing it. Your golden opportunity and you're blowing it. And
You're yucking their yum.
it's mind controlling, not growing.
Yep.
It's parasitically depending on the grass to say, please keep me down. Please keep me down.
I need a good mow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Tell
that's
me
reflected in the
I'm
work
too
environment.
tall. Please tell me I'm too tall. Tell me I'm too selfish. Tell me I must love the sound of my own voice. Tell me my ego is too big so I can feel better about being one of y'all. Right?
And not wanting to grow myself, because that's what I think so much of the time that people responding in that way. And like we talk about the work environment, a lot of times if you come in and raise the energy, or you're just doing the job well, it's the folks who aren't there. They don't want to have the pressure of being anything more than a blade of grass. So
Yeah.
they naturally kind of react negatively to anyone suggesting, like you did, that this is your opportunity to grow. And that's not what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and that's
You know, Brad, one of the things that I learned is that when you make your job look easy and fun, and those other people are like proving how hard everything is, and they have to stay long hours and everything, and you get a lot more money, and they promote you for like having a really good work-life balance and actually not even showing up when they don't need you there. Because I always thought that everything should be easy. I'm kind of lazy. And when I had the workaholic next to me and she wasn't getting the money or the promotion and they were like promoting me, and I was like, whoa, talk about, that's like that consensual mind control. Like, we all have to stay here longer because that shows how important we are. And they're like miserable and not having any fun, and they're not productive. And yeah. So a manager that can give the money to the person that's doing the more productive, more fun, getting the job done in a I don't know, there's a whole different way of doing it. So yeah,
that's what I think good management is. I mean, I think, and that's what the transition from being on the other side to learning to manage is like. The step in the posture of manager is you have to plug into the idea of knowing what the job is, and like you're saying, being able to get it done. And it's easy and it's fun, because you're not in that mindset anymore of like it's the time spent or the effort spent, because at a certain level you realize, no, it's just the production. And
that's just the thing. Yeah.
If I can do the job and get with good.
You go finish what you're saying. Oh,
I didn't have anything else.
I was gonna say, when the times that I was asked to be a manager, I would think they just want to be able to manipulate me. Like, they want a tighter control on me. This is what I would think. Like, but I was in a mindset of not liking myself, and I was not my own friend. And it was really a bad thing to do. Like, just like, don't even do that. To have that mindset is just awful. And it took me forever to see it. Like, I literally could never just accept, wow, somebody might think that I'm just really capable of doing this. And that's why it would always be like a negative thing. Like, you know,
This goes back to the confidence, right? It's like with the self-love and the confidence. Like if we don't believe in ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, and we don't have confidence in ourselves, how could we expect anyone else to? You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
we're also mind controlling everyone else to not believe in themselves and not love themselves simply
Absolutely.
by us doing that. And this is really the ultimate dojo tool, because once you feel how sick and gross your tentacles are, I mean this with love. Once you notice how much you fuck with people by doing that kind of stuff, how much you're bringing the world down, how much you're killing Gaia by even thinking that way, it becomes so detestable to you that you simply cannot do it anymore. It's not about will. It's about, I do not want to harm people. I do not want to secrete so much immorality where everyone has to feel like shit in my fucking wake, because that's what they do. That's what it is. And that's part of nature, but you're part of nature too. And you get to either participate and join in, or you get to do something different, you know? Yeah. So ultimately, I'm motivated by how guilty I feel by dragging that vagina penis around.
We've all felt that guilt.
People might be wondering, but the hyena is known for its vagina penis. It's quite. This is why one of the reasons why it's such a great archetype. There's so many reasons why it's such a great archetype, but the haunches, it has natural haunches. You know, have you noticed that the hyena is always haunched?
Yeah.
Like by default.
Yeah.
It's always laughing. It's pretending to be a cheetah. It literally is like, look at me, I got fucking cheetah, man. Vagina penis cheetah. And it's the complete perfect archetype. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing about it. What's that?
Very mercurial.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how it's crazy. Like, we could take it like, let's say you're a giraffe, but you're not confident in being a giraffe yet. Or a cheetah. Let's say a cheetah, right? And you see the hyena doing that, and you think the hyena is mocking you. But in truth, the hyena is actually doing something that's more self-serving for itself, right? It's trying to make itself feel better for being around cheetahs and seeing cheetahs, right?
Yeah, it's emulating.
And it's the only... Yeah.
Yeah, it's emulating, so it's under mind control, but keep in mind, mind control is a powerful, positive thing. The only reason why it's not positive is if you're ashamed. That's why the stigma is that it's bad. People are ashamed of their own power. They think that they're ashamed of their own weakness, but no. That's how clever they are. This is how clever the flower is who's afraid to grow. He will create this interesting, fascinating paradigm of, yeah, well, I don't really deserve to be a flower. I need to be called in some sacred emotional ceremony where God comes down and has to beg me to help, and I'm Bilbo Baggins, and I'm just like, I can't do it, man. Don't you got an eagle? Can't you just fucking fly this thing with an eagle? So yeah, we are so clever at that. That's why mind control is so important to fall in love with, because you really see the fist that's got a hold of your skull from the back of your head. It steers you everywhere. That's why racism in the South is such a great way to find mind control. If you can, this sounds so creepy, but if you can compassionate the Klan, if you can compassionate what it was like to live in a pre-civilized society, and you were in the mountains and you wanted to be a part of the community that was already there. And the community that was already there was tribal. It was a bunch of clans. And they were clans of Cherokee and clans of Chippewa or Chickasaw or Creed or all the other words that we pretend are Indian names but aren't, the names we don't even know. These were clans. The Civitan Club, the Kiwanis, the dudes in the fez hats. And they were the ones that were there before the courthouse had been built. They were the ones that took care of what they felt their tribe needed, what their clan needed to survive. You couldn't survive without it. The ability to survive a winter required multiple people working in tandem. So it's even impossible to even imagine that there was such a luxury back then to where you could even afford to be what we think the clan was back then. So if you think about what the clan is, it's just white Indians. I swear to you, it's just white Indians. And everything that's been painted and thrown, all the war paint that's been thrown on the Indians, if you want to know how it feels, you should probably try and compassionate the clan. Because those people are you. Those people are you that are shamed. And just like right now, the modern day Native American has this sort of racist, typically a sort of racist vibe towards white people trying to integrate or appropriate their tribe. That same kind of sort of spoiled kind of tartness is the same thing that makes the clan into a white supremacist kind of vibe. It's the exact same thing, guys. It's the exact same vibration. So yeah.
But why is one good and one bad?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I went to Standing Rock back in it was 2016, and I was, initiated with high Indian Peruvian stuff. So there was all of these medicine people gathering, and I had my Peruvian stuff on, but I don't have the right color skin, and I had more people asking me to remove my regalia, even though I was initiated.
I'm glad you saw that.
I felt that.
I'm glad you got to experience that. I have experienced the same thing at sweat lodges.
Wow.
Where it's been my third or fourth sweat. And I know exactly what you mean. And it really showed me so much about the red road, because they're actually showing you the red road. If they could embrace how awful the mind control is that they're throwing at you, they wouldn't be able to face it. But this is the gauntlet of the red road. It has to be this way. It's always been this way. That there's always a snakes in hair, and there's always you. And the only thing that makes you you is that you are not snakes in hair. It's the grand unifying hyena. It's the grand motivator to be better. And it's traveling through the forest the same way it traveled through the Black Forest of Germany. It's that evil necessity to call goodness into the land. So it's so much more profound than we can imagine. And we'll be back there. We'll be back there hopefully soon. This sounds really creepy, but if you look at not to me, by the way, but if you look at the grand unification of a new world order, if you look at their agenda and the plan, if you look at the stunning facilities at Astana, the new world order headquarters, you are looking at a Quaker circle, a Confederate ring of bioregionalism. If you read their plan, it is a bioregional plan, which means that there is a collective union, a collective nation formulated by several tribes that are based bioregionally. on their own land.
That's why Trump went up and down like Greenland all the way to South America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Panama to Greenland.
Yeah.
It's
So,
all.
Lori,
Yeah.
were those people all Peruvian that asked you to take off your regalia?
No, it was the 7 generations calling the Hopi prophecy. It was medicine people from around the world.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
It was around the world that got this call. And so, yeah, there was it was in North Dakota. So you had all of the Indian chiefs, you had all of their teepees set up. They had all the regalia, the flags were flying. It was super powerful. And, I just happened to be on the day when 300 medicine people from around the world were doing the prayer for this great calling of the Rainbow Tribe. And I was like, I was proud of my regalia, but boy, it did not feel like as a white person, it was racist. I felt like what it felt like it's like, I feel like the more this is flipped or whatever happened that got flipped, it's not okay to be white.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not saying that I don't feel what it would feel like to have all of the other stuff. Echoing.
Yeah, something was happening.
Sorry. I was actually trying to fix your audio a little bit, Lori. It should be back to normal.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Okay, so it was very
Well, that's better.
it was extremely hurtful to have somebody judge me like that without even knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't take that, what I said, lightly. Like, I'm glad I didn't mean it to sound that way. I think
Well,
it's
it's
really
eye-opening,
important
But
right?
that
synthetically, it's an interesting experience to have under your belt.
I actually think it's part of the shaman initiation, though. It is the gauntlet into that. And
It was-
I had the same thing happen to me in Chattanooga, the exact same thing. And it was Chattanooga Tribal Association, the Mox and Ben Preservation Society. Like, I wrote that constitution when I was prepping at a law firm. I got the law firm to basically help me write that stuff. It was really great. And even though I had all the credentials, Lori, I had all the credentials. It was very clear that I needed to be put in my place several times. And I noticed right away, wow, this is I didn't see it coming. It was like a bat to the face. It was the last place you expected it, especially when you're young and have that virgin spiritual idea of what a sacred teacher is. But that is the sacred teaching, is having you go to find that the disaster that you thought was the way, and realizing that you have to do it yourself. This is so important, And those guys are actually doing exactly their job. They're native. They're the only ones that could initiate you by rejection.
Yeah.
They would be the only ones that would hold the sacred power, the sacred medicine, and they actually trusted you more than anyone else. They don't know it. They're not conscious of it, which is why it makes them so effective at the magic, Lori, because they wouldn't be able to consciously make decisions like that. Their heart, their animism is doing it. And the voodoo animism is saying, oh, we must reject this one so she will be born. It's like sinister Heyoka. You could not get more Heyoka than that. You could not get more blessed, more sacred than that, right? It really is the ultimate sign of I believe in you.
Right. Like you step through a portal somehow.
Yeah, it's the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Well, at the same thing, it was just like, you think that you're seen as, I know I'm part of this, whatever prophecy this is, to hear a call and go to a foreign land and be initiated in a place that did not want to teach white people at all. And that was where I went, to Peru. but they were told that this needed to happen. And then, so I think I'm going to this big gathering where everyone has the same message. And I was like, oh, but it was a beautiful thing. It wasn't like bad. I didn't really take it as shame.
Yeah.
I just thought, this is what it feels like
Yeah.
to have somebody have a racist kind of attitude toward you.
Yeah.
I thought it was a beautiful gift. And at the same time, I was harvesting this sacred sage. And a Native American person came up to me and said, Sister, I just see that you're doing this, and I wanted to see if you would be willing to hear about the way of the sage. And it was so beautiful the way that person did that, James. It was very similar to the way that you lead. It wasn't, it was just an aperture opening. And it had shame to it because I was just picking it mindlessly. But it was about having a relationship with the plant and being responsible to that relationship and asking it and going from one place to another place. Even though it was all run over by car tires, that didn't matter. It would have come back. But I took my, unknowing and went there thinking I could do this. And then I learned something. And it was through shame, but it wasn't taught through shame.
Mm.
Yeah.
The universe kind of, I think that's the way it works, is us testing us, and that's what it really comes down to, is because it's testing our self-worth, or however you want to put it. The fact that again, why the whole isolation has to happen, why you have to be tested in the way of saying, without the group, to be isolated, just you and yourself, to feel this shame, can you still hold this frequency? And that's part of the test of growing.
It really is the only test.
How committed are you to it?
Yeah, and this is why I think it's healthier to think of, you didn't actually have a self until you go through that gauntlet, which is why it's such a gift that it happens through the face of a Native American. It's so crucial. That's such a special gift, and most gauntlets don't have that kind of spice to it, So this is the only way to get in the club. You gotta be thrown out of every other one.
Yeah.
Right.
At the same time, at this whole experience of being up there, the blueprint of the mind control it came from one reason, to call this 7 generations forth. And then I watched the government, and I watched this like almost an Antifa looking thing happen. And it was like all of the resonances and everything changed. And there was this like a whole like, we're the underprivileged and now we're going to fight. And it was a peaceful movement. And then it became this, I saw the mind change. I saw the virus happen. And I was there for that. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
It was just like, they all started wearing militant clothes. The natives were all in their beautiful attire, riding horses bareback. And then they started wearing like all black with black bandana. It was all shipped in through Amazon.
I'm glad you brought that up, Lori, because it's kind of what they're doing in Ohio right now with the government sort of weaponizing the Shawnee tribe there into sort of shaming everyone that is not indigenous that goes to, celebrate the Serpent Mound or whatever earthwork they want to visit there.
Yeah, the darkest mound.
It's really, really dark. It's really strange because it's like I don't know if it's like a money thing, who knows, but to weaponize that sort of like racism is crazy. And it's the government figured out that they could do that. And it's, I used to go to Serpent Mound at least twice a year for that reason, to kind of gather with these people, because that's the type of thing you never found there. There were shamans there. They had all sorts of cultures from Southeast Asia to, South America, all sorts of tribal peoples. And you had, there were people there that may have been questionable. Who knows? The point is, everybody was there unified to have this experience. And that it should be sacred, but they took that, how special it was, and they weaponized it against people that really want transformation, that really want change. And the fact that you dealt with that is crazy. It's not something you should have had to deal with, but at least, as you say, that it had like a positive impact, overall impact.
Well, I think it's
Absolutely.
natural too, and that's the aspect where
Yeah.
it shows
Exactly.
you the human psychology, where, like you say, kind of someone who might be in let's just say the victim crowd, right? How quickly you can see how eager, when they see someone who they don't feel identifies in that correctly in that space, how ready they are to become the victimizer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In that aspect of human psychology, to where it's almost like this demonstrates to me again how this is psychological, to where you can think, because you're in a certain group that's being marginalized, that you would not act in the same way if you were in the ascendant group. But human psychology, I think, is kind of universal in that regard, that you really do have to face these things
I
very deeply.
I feel like the mind
Absolutely.
control is more actually on how we think that it's not supposed to be this way.
Oh, I agree with you. It's
That
absolutely, this is the way it
yeah,
works for a reason.
that it would have to be this way in this fractal of
Mm-hmm.
modern times. This is the only way that it could manifest that same thing. Back then it was much more terrifying. This being disappointment, like deeply disappointing. You have to be crushed. You have to literally be crushed because you were expecting a spiritual leader to bequeath you or benefact you or apprentice you in a certain way, and you have in your mind a vision of how this would have to happen. Your vision quest is not the receiving of what you envisioned, it is the experiencing of what you envisioned. And we like to think those are the same, but that would be a failed journey, wouldn't it? If you went into this expecting something and you got what you expected, this would be a very sad shamanic journey that was a failure. So
Absolutely.
all of the cuttings, all of the needles, all of the circumcisions, all of the shaming of self is perfect. Like don't change a fucking thing. More racist red guy, please. We need more. We need more rejection.
It will get us there quicker.
We need more. Yeah. We need more because the time, it feels like we're in an era of fuck around and find out is more of the medicine of the day. The white sun is more fuck around and find out. And I don't mean this in a destructive, violent way, although I think destructive violence is necessary in this gauntlet, this spiritual gauntlet. That kind of violence is very proper. Even what's happening right now around us, it's been really tripping me out how if you were mind controlling a population as an artificial intelligence that was running over a long period of time, the archetypal coincidences that people like to attribute to the CIA, just as an example, would be much clearly understood as someone who's able to manipulate the egregore would be very much what a dog would feel when they are being manipulated by the leash without necessarily being aware that there's a leash. In their mind, they're free. In their mind, everywhere they go is the spiritual experience. The only way that they would be able to come out of that is through a deep, deep disappointment with a leash, followed by years of sloth and surrender hopefully to emerge in a propulsion like a whale breaching the water of enough angst, enough pain, enough, I'm sick of this stuff, man. You're a narcissist and you don't get me and you fucking didn't honor me and I've been trained. I fucking went to Peru, bitches, and all the stuff that we felt, that I felt, that I'm like, I wrote your fucking constitution, you piece of shit. I was the only one who told you guys to fucking write a constitution. You're the one that's like, let's shame Chattanooga for having moccasins as a fucking slogan. And I'm like, no, let's write a fucking constitution, you fucking retard. How do you do that? You're disappointed. You're like, why are you ruining this? Why are you ruining this?
We're reactive. We don't want to be proactive, James.
You know, yeah, it's so this is the only way that I would find myself is to say, I am the fuck not you. I am the fuck not you. And it's sometimes it's spitting like that because you feel so sure that you are not that thing. And ultimately, you end up painting yourself into a creviced corner that you never knew existed. And hopefully you feel surrounded enough to where you finally just give up and say, I'm fucking staying here. And then you bloom. You bloom because you have to. I was rejected by ayahuasca after my divorce. It crushed me, Lori. I felt like, why is this rejecting me too? Why am I reaching out to all these people? I should have clout in Asheville enough to at least find this. I realized I left town, but fuck, man, I didn't burn my bridges. But here I am unable, or I'm being led down these roads where this really just flaky ass, just weak, like, oh God, I have to buy this from you, like that kind of thing where, and even that wouldn't work out. Then I was like, why am I rejected? I've done peyote. Why is this happening?
I always got, every time I go to Asheville, I always get the same feeling that it's like it's a separation for me. I'm like, gosh, this land is magical, especially up there on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah.
And then you get to Asheville and everybody is really like mind controlled. Like it's just something inauthentic, and like they think they're cool, and I'm like, you're not that cool. Like, I don't know, just I got this certain vibe from Asheville. It's really a particular one.
Well, that place is so much, there's a lot. So the Vanderbilts, right? You got like a really nice horn there of collected energy. The bowl of that place is really magical. They just removed the obelisk and the reflecting pool in 2019. I couldn't believe that they were doing that.
Why?
Because it's Asheville. You have to. I don't mean this even in like a
politically correct.
I don't. Yeah, it's. I don't even necessarily mean this in look what a horrible place this is. I want you to understand the magic of that place, and I think it's the same kind of magic. Guys, think about what we're talking about. Don't you understand how important it would be to have a vortex where you would come seeking spirituality and be so fucking disappointed by the hyena in the area that you would sprout wings and that you would need that? The guys, I posted this right before the show, but there were a collection of people gathered at Asheville today to yell at the French Broad River for the hurricane. They screamed at it. They screamed at it like, you fucking bitch.
I didn't even know you could scream at a river. I didn't know that was a thing. That's
They
awesome.
did, and they filmed it, and they were proud. And I'm not trying to take that away from them, but the Cherokee called her Ustutli. Hurricane Helene is the Cherokee legend of the giant snake that carves the ridges and the mountaintops. And Bermuda Triangle, a snake as long as the ocean from Bermuda Triangle through the sky, across the Gulf Stream, right into the heart of Appalachia, was a baptism of Sheol that I wiped the cracks of every ridge that was full of angst and cleared it and made it new and showed you what this spirit is. And people are yelling at the river that's literally has the name, the French Broad River. And it's
always the French.
It's the Broad River because it's really
a
broad.
woman?
It gets really broad because this spirit,
It's pregnant.
Ustudli, uses this place. So the entire time, the name, even the modern name, the Gaia is telling the people that live in Asheville, hey guys, just so you know, this is called the French Broad River. If you look back, you'll know why it's called the French Broad River, because people were always amazed at how sometimes it would get really fucking broad. And then over time, it became a broad river because of how many times it got broad.
Parted across.
And the entire time since I've been in Asheville, they've been like, we have to develop the river. We have to develop the river. We have to put all the houses on the river because that's where spiritual people want to live, next to the river. And it worked because the spiritual people got to experience the pure, raw Turtle Island power of Ustudli. They literally came in expecting the same things that you expected, Lori, that I expected, that all of us expect from this spiritual experience. And hopefully, if we are deemed worthy, Gaia destroys our hopes and shatters those dreams so that we will be made, right? So all of this is chef's kiss. Everything that's happening.
Makes you think, if you move to Asheville, don't you know that means that this is the Ville where everything turns to ash?
Yeah, it's a great place. I'm really glad I found it when I did. I'm really glad that I left it when I did. I'm really glad that people are still using it in the exact same way I did. You know. And even the all of it, the uppityness, the all of it, it's part of the flavor. It's really important. You would need someone to intimidate you, to be like, I need to have like a bobcat haircut because I want to fit in, or I need like a lumberjack shirt, or I need, you want that to have a lot of weight. You want the fashion of Moog being the headquartered there, and you're the guy that works at Moog because you help pack the boxes when someone buys a Moog, and now you're like basically the coolest guy in town because you work there, and that, or you work at the co-op, or you're produce manager, or all these are tribal positions. These are chiefdoms in a spiritual land, and it's kind of beautiful
archetypes.
that Asheville doesn't have the same kind of like yuppie. I mean, there's definitely like a lot of rich people there, don't get me wrong, but it's like inside that culture, right? It's more based on the spiritual pranic power of your position. Yes, like archetypes.
And there's a lot of
Satium.
musician archetypes that come from there, because we have, like, this is a sister city to Asheville, and then we have these music festivals where the old time people come down to the Cajun people, but the coolness of Asheville, and I was like looking at it, and the coolness is they all kind of dress alike. It's like these flannel kind of cowboy shirts and a certain type of haircut, and they're really, really great musicians. But there's a certain thing that no matter how hard you would not be able to break into it. It's just like there's like a shell around it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
it
the
really is
exact same-
beautiful, and so much talent.
Exact
So
same
much talent.
energy, exact same energy of being in the sweat lodge, the exact same energy of, of your adventures in the Rainbow Clan, that all these things you would get this at Burning Man.
Yep.
You would get this in all these different places. And really that's cool because it really does show how much more spiritual we are than we give ourselves credit for, because so much of what is cool in culture is not actually based around money. It's actually based around your status
Talent.
inside that shamanic order. Being a barista is actually cooler than you might think it would be if you were really to look at like a pure capitalistic society. It actually has more clout than other things do. And this is important because it's showing you that underlying prana economy, really. You know, it does show you there's something different happening here. There's a different kind of appetite. The people will purposely say, no, I want to work in the farmer's market because I get to say I work at the farmer's market. I get to say, oh, I got to go to the farmer's market. You work at the farmer's market? Yeah, I work at the farmer's market. What do you do? I'm produce. And basically you unload a truck. But this is a really cool truck. And you're meeting all the local farmers, right, that are bringing, I mean, do you see what I mean? Like, this is a really coveted position. The same way that if you were in San Francisco and you owned Pier 38, right, or whatever, and ships were coming from all these international places and you were the guy that operated the crane. I mean, that's a very high shamanic chiefdom. That's a sachem. In fact, the word sachem is more imbued in our culture because the sachem was typically a role where if you became sachem, you lost your name. You actually became the title of the last. Typically, it's like the first sachem, his name becomes sort of the title and everyone else becomes Fred. So if you think about forklift operator, that term forklift operator is actually a sachem term. You're the first person who was able to certify other forklift operators. You were the first shaman from Peru who had the right color skin that was seen by everyone as, I want authorization, I want certification from you. So there's a medicine line, there's a sacred thread of free prana that's spread through probably Gaia, right? That's spreading through that way, and she only wants to hand it to people that find it sacred enough to become a hyena, enough to unconsciously withhold it in the perfect way for just the right people so that they will become the berries of tomorrow. They don't need to, if you told them how to do it right, they would just fuck it up. You don't want them to be conscious.
Yeah, right. This is true. I mean, it's true.
Imagine being an Aztec priest, the Thalak priest, and the dude comes up and you're going to Bernie Sanders and you're going to be like, well, tell me about yourself, Tim, before I cut your heart out. Look, how are you feeling? Are you nervous? Hey, I don't want you to be nervous, man. Look, we're all friends here. Hey, I want you to meet Tom. Tom, put down the obsidian blade for a second. Tom here is a great guy. He really loves Radiohead. Do you like Radiohead, Tim? Yeah, it's going to be great. You know, that's cruel. That is actually cruel as fuck. This is actually what the fucking Apache used to do. They'd be like, hey, let's tell this guy that we're going to free him if he tells us jokes and laughs. We're going to tell them all whoever laughs the most over the next moon gets to live. Whoever says that we're the coolest or whatever, like you start really fucking with people. This is the unconscious way of the gauntlet. The gauntlet would have to work through unconscious beings. This sacred ritual would not take place if it were not for unconscious acolytes practicing hyena in full dress and having no fucking idea. This is why it's a sacred church. It's sacred because you're the only one who knows you're here, right? Everyone else is practicing their ritual so you can finish this magic.
You know, the farmers market people too, if you're in that line, like you were saying, they like have access to sacred medicine too, like weed, mushrooms.
Yes.
You know.
So right. Yeah. Yeah. Even buying weed if you live in a place where it's illegal, that same kind of medicine is, it's so right. And those are the cool people. And you have to really endear yourself to them. If you want to survive in that place. Imagine how difficult it is to live in New York. Like that kind of, when you get that deep into that sort of nest, it becomes very cannibalistic in that way. and that city tends to eat people and spit them out. It also invigorates people because they want that magic so bad. This is why I often argue that if you want to know where the most spiritual growth is happening, like the most instant growth, the ones that are like, look, man, we're going to fucking use magic while we're here. It's going to be gang violence. It's going to be in the parts of America that would look like the most violent transactions to a culture historically have always been where the shaman are just bleeding off the vine, like the Great Rift of Africa. It's just this vagina of just, here's Homo sapien, here's Homo erectus, here's Homo pithecus, here's all these other brilliant creations that are even more amazing than the last one. But the only way you're going to get this is you're going to need a shitload of hot lava on this side and a shitload of acid water on this side. And anyone who walks in here is going to die. Anyone who drinks this stuff is going to turn into a salty corpse or a molten burning puff of smoke. But this is how you give birth to brilliance. This is how you create some of the deepest magic in the world.
Exactly.
Look at who we are, fucking walking voodoo dolls of clay, imbued with salt, stored with the ability to memorize things and to become attached to things. We're living Gaia. And we do not know that we are the same way these shaman, quote, initiates, the ones that initiated you, do not know who they are actually initiating. They do not even know how they're doing it the same. So it's better this way. It's actually cleaner. It's probably looking more of a Gaia signal because you're looking at that authentic imagination with no shame, allowed just to act on autopilot. The autopilot isn't the evil deep state. The autopilot is Gaia, right? Utilizing the principles of the jungle to solicit growth, to enable enhancement, to allow you to visualize and lie to yourself as much as it takes, and for you to emerge at your own level and find a place where you are comfortable and you can be a hyena. There's plenty of water to drink. There's plenty of vagina to lick. You can lick all the buttholes on the Serengeti. And if you find that gross enough, you might want to try a giraffe. You may not like it, you know.
That's the way the thing is. What doesn't breed growth, as we all know, or shamans, is comfort. Mm-hmm. That's why, like you say, the lava on one side, the acid water on the other. That's how you find out who's really a shaman and not, right?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest hindrance to my growth is my addiction to comfort.
Absolutely.
Ditto.
Yeah, and it's...
Well, comfort just breeds stagnation, right?
It's why I can't be more brilliant. I can't be brilliant. I have to be... If I wasn't flawed, I would just be able to survive in comfort. Do you understand? Like I would have everything figured out and I could just like flow in comfort. So I am an imbecile by design. I'm practicing practicing the perfect degree of imbecility so that I can move myself up the spiritual place unconsciously. See, I just proved it again.
Yeah. Yep.
That we require the mind control of that to move up the hermetic ladder. And the only way we got to do it is to put a blindfold on. We got to put a blindfold on. We got to take off one shoe. We got to rip off one of our sleeves. We got to Hiram Abiff this thing. You're going to have to get spun around in a coffin. You're going to have to not know which way's up. You're not even going to know if you even want to go up. You're going to have to die. Every single thing that you ever thought is going to have to go away. You're going to have to be defeated by everything. The world has to crush you and bury you. Now we're ready. Now we have all the cake and it's in the oven. Is it going to rise? And it does, because the person who put it in the oven knows what ingredients are required, and it needs to look like ignorant spiritual desire for a John Hughes experience when it comes to shamanism, you know. The Disney is such an important part of our growth because it's not what we thought it was. This is...
That's why it works.
Yeah. This is the hero's journey rolled into a very convenient package that can be used over and over and over again. An industry itself that serves to simply destroy the dreams of childhood in a constructive, open atmosphere that allows people to want their childhood more, to want it even more, to create an environment now where you want to imagine yourself as a different person, as a different personality, and you've got a giant culture that's saying, how dare you fucking imaginate in public? How fucking dare you come out and play and do this? It's so obvious now.
And then when you do it despite that, everybody can see, oh, you fucking mean it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you learn to live in that friction, and people, myself especially, we want to like make our life frictionless, and that's like man, it sets you up for failure, and it requires a type of dishonesty.
Yes.
You
That's
know, I
the
don't.
Heyoka.
Of all the times I've ever kind of engaged in that, it's felt like I had this break with the truth, you know, that it's a responsibility that I didn't want. You know, the friction just comes with that heaviness, that responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, that's a hump that I'm trying to get over, and I'm watching other people try to get over it. And we're all kind of looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like,
Right?
Yep.
And speaking of responsibilities,
That's
it really
right.
is beautiful. And talking to responsibilities that don't necessarily want. I think we're getting close to.
We're playing this out right now. Yeah.
Noodles landing this
Great
plane.
job, Brad. Great job, everyone. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, great flight.
Yeah, great talk.
Yeah, I love you guys.
Good stuff.
have fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, great being on with you guys.
Great
Great night.
weekend.
Bye.
Thanks for flying.
You said it yourself.